Leave a first-time appearance as well here on the Hill. Congressman Khanna, thanks for being with us here on the Hill. Appreciate the time, sir. You are for this. Tell us why.
Well, I think it is common sense bipartisan policy. I mean, for 40 years, we have had China take advantage of us, build up a massive trade deficit. We saw the hollowing out of steel, of aluminum, of industry after industry. And now there's an understanding that enough. We've got to have domestic capacity here. We need to become a manufacturing superpower again. And I'm glad there's some things that we have bipartisan consensus on.
So you, Congressman, were pretty critical of former President Trump for his policy when he was in office, August of 2020. You said of Trump, his pursuit of reckless, ego-driven trade policies has exacerbated the damage for American workers. You go on to say it's long past time we make our trade, economic, and tax policies work for working people. President Biden, Congressman, just kept the exact same policy in place. Are you disappointed that he did?
No, because I never had a problem with President Trump being tough on China. What I said is, did he have to be tough on Canada? Could we not have more alliances with some of our European allies and have a concerted effort against China? But I was actually complimentary of Lighthouser in the previous administration. I appreciated and voted for when he renegotiated NAFTA and supported that. But my view is that let's focus our fire on rebalancing the trade relationship with China. And there, I supported a lot of the previous president's policies on China tariffs.
All right, let me ask you about the political reform bill, Congressman, that you have put forth. It calls for example, banning stock trades for members of Congress, term limits as well, term limits after 12 years. I want to talk to you about stocks, because they have been in the news the last couple of days. I'll get to GameStop here in a second, but I know this is a big thing of yours. Unusual Whales. I'm sure you know the account, Congressman. It details nearly three dozen lawmakers last year who beat the S&P 500, 18 of them with gains of more than 50%. How are some members of Congress seemingly some of the best stock pickers on the planet?
Well, look, I'm for making sure that we ban stock trading of members of Congress, and it's bipartisan. I'm not even saying that all my colleagues who do it, that they're corrupt. I don't think that's the case. Some of them have access to some of the best financial firms. Those financial firms know how to beat the markets. I mean, people make a living of that in Wall Street. But the reality is that
corruption?
Most Americans don't. I'm sure there is some corruption, but I don't believe that the vast majority of people who come to Congress are corrupt or that I'm somehow holier than thou. I just think that most Americans believe that the system isn't working. And if one of the things we can do is stop trading stocks and have people put it in a diversified trust or have it independently managed instead of doing day trading, why not do that? I mean, why not get PAC money out of politics? Why not have some form of term limits? I think it'll increase the confidence in the system.
GameStop. So this thing has run up, Congressman, 3x in the last 2 days. Of course, Roaring Kitty came out of, I guess, self-retirement, posted a tweet, and this thing has ripped. As you know, Congress looked into this back in 2021. Do you think they need to? Or is this just the free market at work?
Well, I think they should make sure that there's nothing illegal happening. But here's what's sad about this. This is financialization of our economy. The finances have gone out of control. And at the same time, we don't make steel enough in America anymore. We've gone from making half the world's steel to now China making half the world's steel, and we're at 4%. We don't make even advanced drugs in this country. I mean, look at all the antibiotics that we're dependent on foreign countries, or the active pharmaceutical ingredients. And I think at some point this country, we need to say that we need to invest not just in gaming apps, but in making things in this country. Have the strategic tariffs, but have federal financing to build things with the private sector. That's what Hamilton did, what Lincoln did, what FDR did, and that's, I hope, what we can come together as a country on.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven,
unbiased coverage.